Cheers, guys. Epix911, welcome to the Elitist Geek on a happy Friday. And if you're Canadian and fortunate enough, like me, happy long weekend. Because, oh yeah, long weekend's about to begin. This video, I'm going to touch on one of my favorite genres. Anybody who's watched my videos knows how I feel about RPGs and tactical strategy RPGs. Simply, I love them. And if you are a 3DS owner, you've got some pretty damn good options. We're going to go over 4 of those options today. Starting with Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked. This game is a remake of a 2009 Nintendo DS game, but don't let that stop you. Even if you have a DS and you can pick up the DS version for much cheaper, do yourself a favor, new or used, pick up Overclocked. It is a fantastic strategy game, strategy/tactical RPG that brings a lot to the table in terms of storyline, combat system, itemization, gameplay simply is spot on. And while I'm not going to give it a percentage rating or a best out of 10, you guys know I don't do that, I can tell you on all the important fronts, it scores super high. And I mentioned what those fronts are. How does it differ from the DS version? Well, some enhanced graphics, of course. They upscale the graphics. Differences in audio. Some additional gameplay elements. I'm not going to get into those because that's spoiler territory, but suffice it to say, it is still a big improvement over the first game. So if you had to choose between the two, hands down, even if you could get the DS version $10-15 cheaper, you should be able to find this for, $19 to $39 used. Brand new, I've still seen it selling for $39, $49, but used, you should be able to find it for $19 to $29, to be honest with you. It's a really good game. Unlike most 3DS games, because this came out so early in the 3DS's life cycle, you get a super, super rare happening. And that is an instruction booklet. It is actually one of the few 3DS games that I have. And I think there's one more, also an earlier game. I believe it's Shadow Wars. And we're going to talk about that. That also has a manual. But they don't cheap out. It looks a lot thicker, the Canadian version, because we have half of it in French. But you got a full 40 pages, I think. 30, 40 pages of awesome manual. So, yeah, I know there's electronic ones. But honestly, having a physical manual, I still got a soft spot for that. So definitely, if you're looking for a challenge, this also delivers on that front. I would estimate it's about 30 to 40 hours to complete, plus or minus. If you're a completionist/perfectionist, it might take you a little bit longer. Likewise, if you're an aggressive, follow only the storyline and leave all extra content off to the side, you come in on the low end of that estimate easily and may even beat it. But that would be my guesstimate on amount of gameplay. That, of course, leads me to the sequel. The second in the series, which is Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker. Also available on the Nintendo DS, but again, a far better game on the 3DS. And unlike Overclocked, the sequel has a much, much better upgrade going forward. It's not just some cosmetic and audio enhancements. It actually makes some nice changes. And again, I'm not going to get into what those are specifically. I don't want to spoil anything, but suffice it to say, you're likewise going to get easily 30 to 40 hours of gameplay out of this. Now, what I should clarify before I move on to a different game, because it is important, these both are squad-based strategy/tactical RPGs. And what I mean by squad or party-based is you have the typical sized RPG party, which is, generally 4 to 6 party members helping you within the game. and the turn-based combat centers around just a small squad. The next game that I'm about to talk about kicks that up a few notches. It ups the scale, if you will, and that is none other than Fire Emblem Awakening. No manual. Oh, I lied. It does have a manual. But it's more of a fold-out. So, yeah, my thing stands. It's not really a manual. It tells you basically just the keystrokes. That's it. That was the French version. But yeah, again, it just shows you the keystrokes and how to save. Nothing important. But what I really love about this game is it comes closer to being army-based strategy / tactical game. Instead of having 4 to 6 party members, it's not unusual to have a dozen people on the combat field, which makes for really intense, awesome turn-based combat. It's not as RPG heavy as the Devil Survivor series, right? But it is much more tactical in terms of your environment and your battlefield. In the Devil Survivor games, the battlefields are mostly cosmetic. In Fire Emblem Awakening, the combat field plays a big part in terms of the tactics. And that's not to say that doesn't exist in Devil Survivor. You have, corridors, for example, that you could funnel your foes into so that they're attacking you one at a time as opposed to 2 or 3 hits at a time. But Fire Emblem just has so much more of that going on the terrain side of things. You've got bridges, roads, buildings, trees, quasi-interior environments. It really runs the entire gamut of combat scenery props, right? And it maintains that focus, that army-style focus throughout the game. If I had to equate it to something, I would say it's more like a Suikoden than it is a Final Fantasy Tactics, right? Devil Survivor games would lean more towards the Final Fantasy Tactics, this more towards Suikoden, which, by the way, is a fantastic game. If you have a PS2, run out and get it now. Get it used. PS3 with backwards compatibility, or even a freaking emulator, get it. It's that good. So Fire Emblem Awakening resembles more the army-based combat. I would say you're getting about 15 to 20 hours of gameplay. A little less than the Devil Survivors, but really, if you can pick up this game for 20 to 30 bucks, and you're getting minimum 15 hours of entertainment, that's still not a bad deal in my opinion. There is some DLC content available for this as well. Some additional maps, additional combat scenarios that do extend the gameplay into the hours. Not the tens of hours, but probably an additional 2 to 6 hours of gameplay. The graphics are pretty damn good. Definite improvement over the last Fire Emblem that, this supersedes. Does it make a big use of the 3D? I would say better than the Devil Survivor series, but still more or less gimmicky. Put it this way, if you have an old style 3DS, I would turn the 3D off. If you have a newer style 3DS like me, by all means leave the 3D on because you don't get the constant breaking of the immersion. I would say that would be the only time I would recommend the 3D is if you have the new, more stable 3DS 3D. And lastly, I want to talk about a game that missed a lot of people's radars. This is an absolute gem that if you can pick up, like if you like squad-based tactical combat, other than fantasy, like military / sci-fi, then this game, Ghost Recon Shadow Wars, is absolutely for you. It, like I said, it missed a lot of people's radars. It's actually pretty damn deep, pretty damn tactical, and it has RPG-light elements to it. You have unit members that you can upgrade skills, equipment, and to me, that qualifies as RPG-light if you are able to better your characters throughout the game. that certainly qualifies as RPG light. And in that respect, Ghost Recon Shadow Wars delivers in spades, folks, in spades. The 3D, again, if you've got a 3DS where it's stable, run it. If you don't, you might as well turn it off. It's nothing great, but the maps are definitely well done. More the Fire Emblem style maps, obviously with non-fantasy scenery, right? So you've got, for example, one of your opening missions is kind of the side of a town or a base with some forest to the south of it, separated by a river and a bridge that connects both sides of the little town or depot that you're in. So you've got that natural barrier of the valley / river in the middle, and the bottlenecks of the bridge in the town to contend with. And that's just an opening mission. The missions get way more complex and way more fun. I would say easily 15 hours of gameplay. But the good news is, folks, you can pick this game up for as cheap. I've seen it as cheap as $10. So certainly $10, easily worth it. Add it to your collection. It's not as true fantasy, RPG style as the other 3 games, but don't be fooled. It's still a hell of a lot of fun. And like I said, it's got some unique classes. You've got right here on the back, just to read to you guys, you've got commandos, gunners, snipers, recon, engineers, and medics. You're unlocking weapons and gear as you progress, and you're learning the nuances. And that's one thing that all these games share, is your particular setup of party members is going to dictate how well you do. And while in this one they're a bit more scripted, the medic plays a huge role. The engineer plays a very specific but important role. And for that, and the other reasons that I mentioned, like, it's freaking cheap. Did I mention that? You can get it as low as 10. Yes, I did. So grab it. You've also got an ability to co-op this. Go head-to-head against a buddy, which is a freaking blast. So if you've got a gaming night with a bunch of buddies, pull this out, have a little tournament. You can do single maps. It caters really well to that. Comes with about 35 missions, which is great. And of course, I pick all the games with the manuals, right? So this one does have an instruction booklet, but it's 15 pages. But still, again, it's one of the first. I think it was a launch title. Actually, yeah, I'm confident. 2011. It was a launch title for the 3DS, and honestly, among the best of the launch titles. So there you have it, folks. Curious to hear what you think. Let me know if you have games other than these 4 that you recommend to me. I'm always on the lookout for new strategy / tactical games. That includes the new Fire Emblem when it's finally available. And really anything else. There's a couple of games I didn't buy for the 3DS because I might have them on another platform, either Vita or PlayStation Portable, or I just have it on the DS, and unlike Devil Survivor, don't feel it's worth the upgrade. So, as always, guys, enjoy the weekend. Cheers, and leave your comments below. Like if you like this video. Hit subscribe if these are the types of videos you like. Try to mix it up. Throw some reviews up, and some general tech talk, and of course my Man Cave series, which will get another update tonight because the walls are up and they're painted and it's looking sweet. I cannot wait to take you guys inside the lair when it's fully decked out. Arcade cabinets, gaming tables, wet bar, geek stuff all over the place. We got a store here called Toy Traders, just as a quick aside, that has all kinds of geeky stuff, like everything from 4-foot tall G.I. Joe figures to a life-size Doctor Who TARDIS. Like, it's amazing. I'm definitely going to be spending some hard-earned cash there to furnish the Man Cave. All right, seriously out of here, guys. Leave your comments below and let me know if I missed anything. As always, cheers.